I don't spend enough in Chanel to be offered the top bags. Hey everyone! I had two of you email me this morning, and it was really weird because actually your emails were both about the same thing. And the thing you were writing about is that you're trying to get hold of, at the moment, the mini rectangle Chanel classic flap in the black colour. So that we all know what we're talking about, it is this bag. And what you were both saying was actually this kind of a similar thing, which is that realistically, this is probably going to be the one and only thing you really want from Chanel, the one and only thing you're ever really going to buy. You don't have any history, so it's difficult for you to really get through to anyone in any of the stores because you don't have a shopping history. In this video, I am going to talk about tips that have worked for me to get hold of some of these classic bags. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 Chanel bags in particular that I'm going to talk to you about and show you how I got them, because there might be something in that that helps you. There are some tips in this video that might also help you with other brands, and additionally, if you're watching this and there's anything that's worked for you that I don't mention, please can you write it in the comments below, because it's helpful for everyone, including me. The first most important thing to do, and this can be the hardest thing to do if you aren't buying anything, is to get the sales associate's contact details. And you not buying anything doesn't mean that you won't get it. I have had another one of you write to me, and you wrote to me with like a story basically saying, I got the bag, and I wanted to let you know and let the subscribers know that even with no shopping history, it is possible. And it is possible, and I think the easiest way of getting a sales associate's details are not through cold calling. I'm coming on to cold calling the store actually, because it is something that's worth doing, but that, in my experience, that's not the way that you're going to get someone to hand over their WhatsApp details. I think the best way of doing that is to actually go into a boutique, act like you're a sure thing, even though you are, because you really do want to buy this item, and ask. I think ask. Sometimes they're not necessarily going to be forthcoming with producing their details. They might. But if you're not buying anything, they're not always forthcoming with that. But ask the question. The worst they're going to say is no. If it were me, if somebody asked me for my contact details and I was working in that capacity, I would find it awkward to say no. Do you know what I mean? I would find it awkward to say no. I mean, it's not like you're asking them for their personal number. It's like a work phone and you are actually trying to buy something. They might say no, but ask the question. As soon as you've got a sales associate's details, keep in touch with them. Don't be a pest, don't be really annoying, but keep in touch. Alicia, you were saying to me that you kept in touch, and it was things like at Easter, you wished your sales associate a happy Easter, and you were just basically being nice. And after doing that, I think a couple of weeks ago, she contacted you, and she had this bag for you at the Walton Street branch in London. You went and bought the bag, and you've actually sent me a photo of it, and it's a beautiful bag. But when you have that person's details, stay in their front of mind. Keep in touch with them. Don't leave it months and months and then be like, oh, has that bag come in yet? I would be slightly more frequent than that, and I would even show interest in new collections that are coming out, because there might even be something in those that you prefer. And it's a way of you staying in touch without you keep harping on about the one bag. So I would personally stay in touch, say once a month. I would just give a quick message once a month and be like, hey, you know, not meaning to be annoying, but just want to check if the bag's are in. Make sure as well that you get added to a waiting list. I have had some of you tell me that they won't even add you to a wait list. Get added to a wait list, you absolutely have to. I have had it said to me before, so with this bag, here's the story with this. This took me 2 years to get. I've been after this, and I actually gave up on it, you know. I asked my sales associate for it, and I asked her a few times, you know, can you put me on the list? And she explained to me that the wait list for these is so long that your chances of getting one, I mean, you can get one, but it might take you a long time. And as I say, for me, it took 2 years. Another problem, or another thing that's happening with Chanel, is that they're trying to be a lot more exclusive. I personally feel like they're maybe trying to be a bit more like Hermes, and they are producing a lot less of these bags. Now, if I show you this, This is a jumbo size classic flap in the caviar, and I really wanted silver. I don't know why, but except for on the vintage bags, on the newer bags, I like silver because it feels a bit more contemporary and a bit more clean, to me at least. But I really wanted this colour, and this is a colour that's hard to get. The gold now is also really hard to get, but how did I get this? I bought this back in 2016, and at the time, you could walk into a store and buy these. It pretty much, okay, the minis were always a little bit hard to get, but you could buy certainly the jumbo, and it was always in. And they've backtracked on that, and as I say, there are so many less bags, so trying to get hold of them is very difficult. Another major hack, and this has worked for me on another bag. Let me show you the other bag, and I'll tell you how and why it works for me, and it might work for you. This came out in 2020, and I can't remember, I think it was in the spring summer collection, one of the spring summer collections. It's a caviar with aged gold hardware, top handle mini flap. As soon as I saw this on the runway, I really liked it. And when I contacted my SA about it, she said they're not even going to go on the shelves, not in the white colour anyway. They're not even going to go on the shelves. She said we're not getting many actually through, and our waiting list is double, triple, 4 times the amount of bags we know we're going to get. So she said, I'll put you on the list, but there's borderline no point because it's just not going to happen. The way I got this, and this is the major hack, if you contact any department store that you are near that sells this brand or any brand, I don't know how it will work for you, but I can speak from the point of view of Harrods and Selfridges. So I contacted Harrods, I was down on the list there, but they said, you know, realistically, we're probably not going to get that many through. Then I contacted Selfridges. If you ask to be put through to personal shopping at either store, you don't pay any additional fees because you're going through the actual store itself. So it's not like if you were to go through an independent personal shopper where you might pay them 10 or 20% commission on the price of what they've sourced you. If you go through the actual boutique, you're not paying that at all. You're just paying for the price of the item. And they are independent from all of the different concessions that are in there. So they don't work for Chanel, they work for Selfridges. And I was put in contact with a really lovely guy at Selfridges. He said to me, we're not going to have one, but then he contacted me weeks later when I thought it's not going to happen. And this was a bag that someone had decided not to buy. And he very kindly offered it to me, and I was really grateful for that. So if you're not having any joy going direct to Chanel, I would say to try and go personal shopping through a department store. You can also do the personal shopper thing, the independent personal shoppers. There are personal shoppers out there who will go and source this item for you. A personal shopper doesn't have stock, they will go out and they will try and source you this item, and they'll charge you 10-20% on what it is that they found you. I never actually managed to get the mini square in black, that never happened. Instead I got it in this colour, which is a greeny, well, it's like green is green, and I love this bag. This is really nice for summer. Because I couldn't get the mini square in black, I bought it vintage, and in a way I prefer it. It's on the vintage bags, the leather feels different. The vintage bags, certainly the older ones, the quilting wasn't puffy. So on the newer ones it's puffy. On the older ones it's flat, and it just, I don't know why, it has a nicer feel to it. I prefer it. But also with these bags, I feel like I'm giving them a new lease of life. I love that they've each got a backstory, and I always am so curious about the person who first bought them. I think, you know, what must that person have been like back in the 80s? They must have been living the dream, and you kind of imagine their lifestyle and how they might have used these bags, and I love them for that reason. So that's why I ended up with one of these. That's another thing you can do. Consider going pre-loved. And then finally, my heart-shaped bag. And this is what I'm talking about. I think I said at the beginning, I don't spend enough in Chanel to be offered the top bags. You probably think that I would be offered the top bags, and I do spend in there, but I don't spend anywhere near enough to really be offered those premium items. And the way that I got this is through a friend of mine. I don't know whether she's watching, but I'm always, whenever we talk about this bag, I'm like, thank you, thank you. She's got a really good relationship with her SA. She said to her SA, can you please get, she wanted this bag in the smaller size in white and I wanted it in the large size in black, and her SA actually got both bags in for her and I was able to buy this. So do you see what I mean? You've got to be really in there, or you've got to spend big in order to be considered for this kind of thing, and that can be hard to do. I have had some of you write to me and you said, I walked into the boutique, I'd never spent anything before, I met an SA, they turned out to be the best person ever, and even though I've never bought anything, they've got me things that are really hard to get. Depends who you get entirely. Finally, on the point of the SAs, if you are with an SA and they're really not doing it for you, change. And if you feel awkward staying in the same boutique and changing in the same boutique because that SA is then going to see you and be like, why are you with someone else? Try and go to, or move to a different boutique. Go to a different boutique entirely and start all over again. If any of you have ever done anything differently and it's worked for you, not actually just for Chanel, but for Hermes, Gucci, Dior, Prada, any of these brands where they get these bags in, or clothing or shoes, and they're really desirable and they're really hard to get. If any of you have got any tips or advice or things that you have done that have worked for you, and I'm particularly interested in talking or hearing from any of you who are new customers and you don't have that that buying history, because that's really what I want to talk about in this video, are for those of you who are looking to buy your first bag and you're struggling to be able to get what it is that you want. I would say just save and hold on for it, because if you end up buying something else because you get sick of waiting, you will always long for the bag that you wanted in the first place. So hold on. As I say, it took me 2 years to get mine. It could take you as long as that, but it's always worth it in the end when you actually get it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.